So what it is that this isn't divided. What is, I mean, there only really is what is, and what is not divided. You could say that's the only thing we could really say about it, in a way. You know, I mean, we could put other words to what is, but those words would very quickly become stories. But the story that it's not divided is kind of the basic one. Now, that of course is completely the opposite of how reality is for the person. For me, this is divided. It's exactly what me is. Me is a reality, so-called reality, a perception, an experience of what is as divided. As there's this, me, and something outside of me, the world, my experience. There's a division. So this is all created. In other words, my experience as me is created by this division. I mean, that's what creation is. The basis of all creation is division, right? If you don't have a division, there's nothing there. Just a big bunch of wholeness with nothing separate, no pieces, no opposition. There's no creation. There's no story. But this experience of being a person is all about the story and what's happening and what's created by these, these moving changes that are appearing. That's all division, and again, it's based on me being separate and seeing it all, somehow being involved with it, acting and being an agent in the story, the story of division, but there isn't any. I'm saying that's all what this kind of message is pointing to how the fact that story of division, I mean, you have to assume division to have all of this creation, this life, this experience of me. Starting place is assuming division. So this is just pointing to the fact that division is assumed, but it's not. There actually isn't. What this is not this division. It's not divided. The division never happened. Can't happen. What is not dividable. It's not divisible. It's like anyway. There's no knife going to come along that we can slice it into pieces with. So the idea of division, the reality of being divided is a kind of propaganda. It's a kind of illusion. It's false. It's not really. It doesn't have any basis. And that can't be argued particularly. I mean, I'm arguing it in a way, pointing it out. But I mean, you can't get convinced by any words because, the person can't, because the person is already a function of division, is already a machine interpreting experience in terms of being separate, in terms of being me, and in terms of knowing what's here. There isn't any knowing of what's here, because again, that's part of the story of being divided. I'm divided from what's here so I can know it, tell the story, and move in the story which that's my life. Being this divided one who's moving in the story. But again, just looking at what is, with all these stories and all these creations, these little scenes of creation that are infinite, right? My creation scene, which is my experience right now, everybody else has their own, and then on and on and on. You can almost pick a point in this space, which of course there is no space here, but there's an appearance of space. There's a story of picking a point, there being a point here that's in the middle of everything that isn't it. So you pick a point and then you see what's out there and describe it and what the story is from that point, right? So I'm saying there's an infinite number of points, infinite number of stories, on and on and on. But none of that is happening. None of it happens, which is the real point. This is just what it is, without a story, without being divided. And that, again, I was going to say, you can't convince the person of that. You can't tell the person. The person can't know that there's no division, because the person is division. It's like you can't get water wet. You can't. It just doesn't work. It doesn't function that way. But at the same time, this is obvious. It's obvious without thinking about it. It's obvious without knowing it. That what is not known. It's not an object of knowledge. It's not a story that is known. It's not a particular story that's true. It's not that kind of thing. It's not any kind of thing. It's this. And it's the real basis of everything, you could say. I mean, obviously there's no basis, because the basis would be a basis for something else. And there isn't anything else. But if we want to talk that way, the real basis is no separation, no division, this. Not finding any story, not finding any movement, and not finding any separate one who's going on a path or a journey or getting somewhere or doing something. Now, all of that has its own basis, which is division, separation. Once we, which is what the me is. It's, I'm assuming separation, and now what? Proceeding from there, from that basis of being separate. And it's not a real basis. It's not happening. And that's why, we always say, when this is so-called realized, or whatever word, it's seen that there never was any separation. There never was a me. The me story never happened. Nothing happened. This is what happened, or is what this is. Didn't happen. It's not going to happen. It's what is. It is happening, you could say, but not happening in time. Not happening as a story. And we're always saying, well, it's not happening. Half of my videos have something kind of like that in the title. It's not happening because happening is a story of time and separation and experience by something separate.